Hi guys! In today's video, we'll be making this miniature koi pond. It's been a long time since I made my first koi pond, but I really wanted to have another go at it and make a bit more of the surroundings, not just the actual pond. I really hope you'll enjoy this project, and let's get started. For the base of my pond, I'll be using this small thin sheet of plywood that I recycled from an old shelf. On this I drew out the basic shape and size I wanted my pond, and also kind of rounded off the corners to give a more organic feel to the actual base. Then I used a hand saw to cut away any of the excess and I filed to round off the corners. If you don't want to work in wood, you can also make your base from some sturdy cardboard. Next I took some big popsicle sticks and started cutting these into smaller pieces so they could form the outer edge of the pond. Once you have your pieces cut out, start gluing them in place with some wood glue in an upright position. And here how it's looking so far. The back piece I built up an extra stick because it's going to be the waterfall part. Next I took my hot glue gun and I used this to seal all the edges both on the inside and the outside of the pond to make sure that the resin wouldn't leak later. To make sure that the resin we're going to use later won't seep into the actual wood, I'm going to seal off the inside of the pond using a few layers of Mod Podge. Next we're going to build up the outside of the pond, and to do this I just crumbled up some tinfoil and pushed this against the pond to get the right shape that I wanted. Once the tinfoil was in place, I used the hot glue gun again to secure it, going almost in a netted pattern to keep it in place. And here's how the base is looking so far. Now we can use some acrylic paint to paint a base color on the inside of the pond to conceal the wood. To decorate the pond, we're going to use 3 styles of pebbles. Some tiny ones to go on the bottom, that's pretty close to just being sand. Then some regular very tiny ones to go on the sides of the ponds. And then the regular pebbles you'd find in someone's driveway. Cough cough, my mother's driveway, is going to go on the top edge of the pond. To fill in the bottom of the pond, I just spread a generous amount of regular white wood glue and then just sprinkle the stones on top. While the bottom was drying, I used some green acrylic paint to paint the outside of the little hill and a base color as well. Then I moved on to the stronger E6000 glue to add the pebbles on the side of the ponds and also on the top edge and on the waterfall. Once I was done adding the stones to the waterfall, I decided I wanted to build up the back of the base in the green a bit more, so I went back to the tinfoil and paint and did that. Now we're ready to add on the grass. I'll be using this product called Flower Soft, which is basically some shredded plastic material that comes in different shades. I mixed together a few different shades to get the color I wanted. Spread glue on the surface and then just sprinkle the Flower Soft on top and pat it down. Do this all around the base. To make the surroundings look a little more alive, I added some fake plants, which I got off a miniature fair. And here's our finished base. Now we're gonna work on what's going into the pond. Using Polymer Clay, I start out by making some simple water lily leaves. I used a cookie cutter to measure out the size I wanted them before cutting out the shape, and then using dotting tools to add the texture. Make as many leaves as you want and then bake them completely according to package instructions. After cooling, add a bit of details using acrylic paint. And then finally we're gonna make our koi fish. I started by rolling a general fish shape using my fingers, and then I moved on to my tools to define and smooth out. For the fins, I roll up my clay pretty thin, and then I use my dotting tools to add texture and thin it even more. You can make your fish however detailed you want. I made mine pretty simple, working off reference pictures. Finally, add the two small whiskers. Make sure to make your fish in different poses to make it look like they're swimming around. Then bake them completely before decorating with acrylic paint. Seal the paint in with some glaze to make sure it won't leak into the resin. And here's our fish. I'd only made 3 because it's quite a small pond. To make the water in our tiny little waterfall, I'll be using some UV resin, simply pouring this on top of the stones and down over the top, and then putting it in direct sunlight to harden. Once that was all cured, I added a few more pebbles to the bottom of the pond and also glued a few of the fish on top of them to make it look like they're swimming around. To fill out the pond, I'll be using this solid water resin product, which is a 2-component product, but you can use whatever resin you like. After mixing the 2 components together thoroughly, I used a small plastic syringe to add the resin into the pond, and this just gives me more control to make sure I don't form any major air bubbles around the sides, but also to make sure I don't spill the resin everywhere. Once you've filled your pond, take a lighter and remove any bubbles that might be on the surface. Then allow the resin to set. Once the surface of the resin had set, I added on my leaves and glued them down with a tiny bit of glue to make them stick, and then finished them off with a bit of glaze. And that's it, our little koi pond is done. I really hope you enjoyed the project. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or requests for other things like this, either gardens, environments, anything like that, just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in a new one real soon. Bye!